Welcome everyone to a Gearables for Life video. Very sorry for the smacking kind of thing. I'm chewing on a mint right now. I'll be done in a minute. But anyway, this is a slightly different video because, well, you're used to my normal stuff. Gaming, but anyway, I'd like to start a new series. So, this series is going to be called All You Can Learn, as you probably saw by the title. If you didn't, then, well, whatever. But anyway, yeah, if you didn't see the title, you probably did. This is my new series called All You Can Learn. I mean, I don't know, I made it up in 2 minutes. But anyway, this is a video, well, this is a series about learning stuff. It's to make learning fun. I don't even know. It's cool stuff that I think is cool, and it's probably, cool. Excuse me for a second. And anyway, we'll be going over that today, and so this will hopefully turn into a pretty nice series, as my other series have 3 videos. Fortnite had 4, I think. Jailbreak 6. So I don't have a good track record of keeping up with series, especially with the Sims. Ugh. My recent video, the trash, something with trash. The other guy made it. He didn't even put it in the Sim series. I don't even know what he just don't listen to it. So anyway, today we're going to be telling you some of the interesting stuff that you may not have known about the United States, because it's a pretty weird country. So let's start off with California, because, well, oh, by the way, I'll be using these 2 sites. I'd like to thank scribblemaps.com and the True Size, which you can see up here, and I'll be going into that later. But let's start. We have a few facts about California. It's actually a very, very tall state. Now, most people think all of California is hot, but if you were to take a line from the very top of California, move it across, you say it goes north of Chicago, into Canada, and above almost all of Pennsylvania, above New York, and into Massachusetts. And that's a little bit ridiculous, but perhaps not quite as ridiculous, but also somewhat insane, is the southernmost point of California, which you can see is very far south from the northernmost point. It goes below Dallas and below pretty much almost every state in the United States. In fact, the only one that is 100% more south than this line is Florida and Hawaii. So, with that in mind, let's move over to California on the true size scale. Most people don't... Oh, sorry, I have some other comparisons going on over here. Most people think California is a pretty decently sized state, but it looks even bigger when compared to, say, a comparably small United Kingdom. Or we could go, say, Ukraine, or France and Germany. In fact, most people think that France and Germany are pretty good sized states, but California is comparable in size to Iraq, and is pretty tall when compared to someone like Siberia, or Egypt, or even, well, you could go to even bigger countries. I mean, it doesn't look that big compared to Russia, of course, although it kind of does, but it's larger than Finland and Sweden and Norway. Well, not quite Norway, this, which is also Norway. But anyway, moving on to our next comparison, Texas. We're looking at big states right now, so we're just going to move on to Texas next. Well, one small thing. It's disputed which one is more south, Florida or Texas. Well, not disputed, but most of the public doesn't know. If we were to switch back into Scribble Maps and draw a little line from the very south point of Florida, which is technically this island on the edge of Key West, but let's just say even continental Florida will work too, and draw it over. Oops, that's a little, well, that works. And it's very far south of Texas. And, well, yep, there you go. In case you didn't know, Florida is definitely south of Texas. Not, however, Hawaii, as if we were to draw a line from the southernmost point of Hawaii, it goes under Cuba. So, pretty undisputed there. Anyway, Oh, we have some very interesting facts about Alaska later on. Make sure to stay tuned for those. You know what? I'll just tell you them right now. Sorry, Texas. We've been keeping you waiting. Now, Alaska is a very interesting state for the United States because, well, the northernmost state used to be Minnesota. It's not Washington, trust me. It's actually Minnesota. But Alaska is now the northernmost state. Obviously, it's the westernmost state, as that used to be, well, Washington. Well, it used to be on the west coast, but now it's Alaska. I mean, we purchased it from Russia for a surprisingly small price, and it's also the easternmost state. Let me explain. Sorry about that. That might happen again. However, the international dateline, no, not really the international dateline, but what's so-called the continent line, it is a sort of disputed line. It goes somewhere through here, mostly follows the international dateline, but it's basically just divides up islands. So whatever continent an island is closest to, it's basically part of that continent, which means that a two station, which is for all intents and purposes, Alaskan, is closer to Asia, as in Russia, than it is mainland North America, making technically Alaska a transcontinental state, and also since part of Alaska crosses the international dateline, small island out there. Well, it's also the easternmost state because, yeah, it crosses that line, the international dateline. So it's the northernmost, westernmost, and slightly less known easternmost state, also making the United States part Asian. So, by one island, the United States is an Asian country, technically. I mean, it's mostly North American, but hey, we span across two continents. There's a lot of other countries that can say that, but we span across two continents, and it's something most people didn't know, and for technical reasons, we're a transcontinental country. But anyway, on to Texas. It's very big, but it's still bigger than some people think. Texas is massive, and we have another comparison on Scribble Maps later. But it could fit the entire states of Maine, Delaware, Mississippi, West Virginia, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey. Did I mention West Virginia? And still have a little bit of room left over on the edges. That's kind of insane, considering how Illinois looks when compared to something like, I don't know, Portugal, or United Kingdom, or Iceland. But moving on from that, let's go to something like Wyoming, which I've already sort of given away what I'm doing here, but Wyoming, we're going to use this as an example because it's a pretty normal, boring, rectangular shape. But just to show you how the world map is wrong, well, this is what happens if on a regular world map, you keep moving Wyoming all the way up to the top. It just becomes more and more distorted until you can't really even recognize its boring shape up here. This is not Wyoming. That is Wyoming. But they are the same size. This is the same size state as this. And that is because of the Mercator projection, which is this map. And, well, it's basically trying to project a spear on a flat map. And that is what it looks like if you get near the top of said spear. Which brings us to Greenland, which I'll cover in another video. But anyway, other than that, we have a bit of a Scribble Maps comparison for you. What was it? Oh, yeah. Anyway, we're probably going to be wrapping up this video eventually, but we still have a few more comparisons for something like Texas. It's a big state. What am I supposed to say? Anyway, so if you were to draw a line from El Paso all the way on the west of the state and draw it to the easternmost point, it's 1,200 miles long. But say you were to move that, say you were to move this line out to here, it goes pretty far into the Atlantic Ocean. So, move it back. This means that El Paso is closer to many things than its own state, including San Diego, Los Angeles, and, many others, including anywhere in New Mexico, anywhere in Arizona, Las Vegas, and there's many, many more. In fact, this point in Texas that nobody's ever heard of is actually closer to 6 state capitals than it is its own. Now we're getting kind of a mess of lines here, but so I'll just show it. This point in Texas is closer to the capitals of New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, Denver, Nebraska, and Wyoming than its own state capital. Very far away in Austin. And that is about, that's about all we have. Now, while we're on the subject of the United States and its comparison to Canada, since I might not do another one of these geographical videos about the world map in this series, well, probably, but you might think that Canada is by far the tallest country in the world, right? If you draw a line down, it's, 4,500 kilometers? Yep, 4,500. Well, if you were to move that line down, you would see that it seems to be, it's pretty tall. It's taller than, Canada masquerades as being taller than South America and, Africa. And if you were to turn it on its side, slightly hard to do. But you could tell it's almost near as wide as Asia. Taller than Asia, almost as tall as Asia, you could say. And significantly taller than 3 Australias on top of each other. But that's not the case, because, if we were to go into the true size here, clear us up a little, and get Canada on the map. Although it is a pretty large country, largest country in the Americas, it's not as massive as you might think. These islands seem to stretch out forever. As I said, it's significantly taller than every continent except for Asia. Well, not quite. And that's pretty much all we have for today on geography of the United States and Canada, because I got lazy and didn't want to put facts about Canada in another video because it doesn't deserve its own facts. Bleh. Actually, maybe it does. I'll do them in this video. Why not? Everybody likes Canada. So, Canada is, although it's bigger than the US, it has a population of 36 million, compared to the US's 326. 36 million is a pretty low number for a second largest country in the world. California has the larger population than 36 million. The city of Tokyo has a larger population than all of Canada, and it's this big. And so, that proves my point. But Canada is in a bit of a bad geographical position to have a lot of people, because half of it is frozen wasteland that's uninhabitable to humans or anything. So, frankly, that is Canada. And, if you look at it, compared to something like Alaska, Canada goes pretty far north. I mean, although it's not as north as you might expect because of the, stinky Mercator protection that I talked about earlier, it still goes significantly farther north than Alaska, and the southernmost point of Greenland is ridiculously far north. Let's show this here. The very southernmost tip of Greenland goes through middle Alaska, and on the other side, through Norway, above the United Kingdom, and through the middle of Russia, which is why Greenland, which is a bit of a white elephant, literally and figuratively, because, if we're to get this thing on the map, it looks to be, the size of South America, a lot larger, the size of Africa, much bigger than Oceania, huge next to Asia, and comparable to North America, right? I mean, look at this monstrosity of a country. Not as in it's ugly, as in it's huge. It looks like a behemoth, and even so next to Canada's islands. But those are Canada's islands. Next to something like the United States, you'll find it's actually not much bigger than Alaska. It's actually smaller than other countries like Algeria, Kazakhstan, India, Indonesia, and many others. And while it may not look up here like it's smaller than Algeria, it actually is. Well, that's about all we have for today, and I've said that many times, but that's about all we have for today, as, I mean, we could do a few more comparisons, as in, Russia looks pretty big up there, but, ugh. And, well, that actually proves that this is by no means the northernmost point of Russia. It's this point right here. If you move it down to the equator where it's correct, you'll find that this is actually the northernmost point of Russia, which is interesting. But anyway, Africa is a massive country too. I think we're going to cover a world facts, basically a bigger version of the US. We'll go into more in depth about this Russia stuff and cover some more interesting, more interesting world topics. But I think we have about proved our point in the United States. And, well, that's about all we have to do. Oh, by the way, we have a couple more facts about something like Idaho. Well, first of all, Idaho touches Canada. It's something most of us don't really think about. I mean, Idaho touches Canada. They're not a good mix. People think Idaho is pretty hot, but it's actually very far north. I mean, if you move it over, it's norther than Chicago. It's farther north than Chicago, comparable to Detroit. And remember that this is just the southernmost point. And, well, it goes above New York City and into Massachusetts. It's pretty comparable to the northernmost point of California, which just goes to show something. Washington is a ridiculously far north state. People don't think about Washington as being cold, but it's above Ottawa, Canada, and Montreal, and pretty much every U.S., well, not every U.S., a good amount of U.S. states. It divides North and South Dakota pretty well. It goes way above every state in the East Coast but Maine. And, well, that's about all we have for this video. Finally, this is Gerbils for Life. And remember to comment and like. I know I'm a run-on. I have a very bad habit. I'm sorry. But anyway, make sure to like this video or dislike it. You have a free voice. But, I mean, and make sure to subscribe if you want more Gerbils for Life content. We upload inconsistently, but we will upload, at least every couple of weeks, usually more often than that. If we're on an uploading spree, you might see stuff from us once or twice a day, more on weekends, but then we just kind of quit for a while, and then 3 weeks without a video. We're pretty inconsistent, I'm sorry, but we do upload sometimes. We try to make it entertaining, and make sure to comment below if you want more of this kind of stuff, because, well, frankly, our last video like this, how big is the universe? Real like this, but how big is the universe did pretty well, and non-gaming videos actually do relatively well for us, because, well, other than our SpongeBob video, which I kind of get because the facts were bad, but our Star Wars video did really well, and as of right now, our universe video isn't doing too badly either, so we think that this all-you-can-learn thing might work out, and I really enjoy doing it. I like interesting facts. I mean, I just like looking at stuff like this because Montana and Idaho kind of form a face with their border. I mean, nose, eyes, bit of a mouth here. I just like stuff like that. It's like, ooh, cool. It's a lot of it is mind blowing. So it's like, it's really cool to work with, and I think that a lot of people enjoy it too. Like if you just open your mind and learn new facts, then I'm bringing down my watch time, aren't I? But anyway, if you open your mind a little and learn new facts, you can learn some really cool things. Most people don't expect Minnesota to be the northernmost state of the continental U.S., but the map doesn't lie. Actually, it does. But the map doesn't lie, and it's indisputed, But, hey, there's a section of Canada called Labrador. Wow. But anyway, stuff like that. And I think it's pretty cool. So, yeah, I hope to see you in another one of these type videos, possibly geography of the world. I've already covered some of it, but there's a lot more that I haven't covered, particularly Europe and all kinds of other stuff like South America and Antarctica. But yeah, that's a moving on from this. I am very, very sorry. You probably left the video by now. If you haven't, thank you. But I'm actually going to end it now. Like, subscribe, comment if you want more. This is Gerbils for Life. Finally, actually, out. For real this time.